Did you know that a single dormant root planted in your garden today can produce massive, fragrant blooms for decades? Honestly, it might even outlive us, which is kind of amazing and maybe a little intimidating. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the secrets of one of the most magnificent, longest living flowers you can possibly grow. We're going to walk through the exact steps to take a simple, bare root and transform it into an absolute generational masterpiece right in your own backyard.
So here is our game plan for today. First, we'll meet the peony family. Then we'll prepare the perfect spot. Plant those roots for success, cover seasonal care and maintenance, and finally, we'll talk about battling botrytis and pests.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Meet the Peony Family. Now, before you even pick up a shovel, you really need to know what you're planting. Our sources highlight three main types. You've got the classic herbaceous peony, which is the most common one. Then there's the woody tree peony. And finally, there's this absolute marvel of horticulture, the Ito peony. Named after a Japanese breeder, Toichi Ito, this one is an intersectional hybrid. It basically marries the massive, papery blooms of a tree peony with the sturdy, reliable stems of an herbaceous peony. It's literally the best of both worlds.
What's super fascinating here is the stark difference in how they survive the winter, because that entirely dictates how you prune and care for them. Herbaceous and Ito peonies, they completely die back to the ground when the frost hits. You actually just cut them right down. Tree peonies, on the other hand, are essentially woody shrubs. They keep their above-ground structure year-round and need almost zero pruning. Knowing what you have changes the whole game come November.
Moving right along to Section 2, Preparing the Perfect Spot. Since peonies absolutely despise being moved and can live in one spot for generations, you're essentially picking their forever home. To get those spectacular blooms, they need plenty of sun. We're talking 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day. They also need really good drainage. If their roots are just sitting in waterlogged clay, they're going to rot. A neutral to slightly alkaline pH is their sweet spot. But you know, the most overlooked thing? Spacing. You need to leave about 60 to 90 centimeters between plants. As we'll discuss later when we get into diseases, proper airflow around the mature leaves is absolutely crucial for keeping your plants healthy. Section 3, Planting Roots for Success. So fall is universally recognized as the absolute best time to plant. And when you do, the magic number is 3 to 5. That's the number of eyes a healthy tuber should have when you buy it. Now, when you look at a bare root, it honestly might just look like a dry, brown chunk of wood. But look closer and you'll see these small, plump, pink or red buds. Those are the eyes. Try to find a root with 3 to 5 of them for the best head start. Oh, and here's a pro tip from our sources. Soak that dry root in lukewarm water for about 30 minutes to rehydrate it before you put it in the ground. Okay, listen up, because this is the absolute golden rule. The eyes of herbaceous and Ito tubers must be planted strictly 2 to 5 centimeters deep, no more, no less. Now, tree peonies are the exception. They're planted deeper to bury their graft, but for your standard herbaceous garden peony, that 2 to 5 centimeter depth is the law. You might be wondering, why are our sources so incredibly strict about this specific measurement? Does a centimeter or two really make that big of a difference? Well, if you've ever been frustrated by a bush that just refuses to flower year after year, this is almost certainly the culprit. If you bury those eyes too deep, the plant is going to push up a ton of lush, beautiful green leaves, but it will stubbornly refuse to give you a single flower. The eyes literally need to sense the winter chill to trigger their blooming cycle. To guarantee success, just follow these 4 easy steps. First, dig a nice, wide, 30 to 45 centimeter hole to loosen up that soil. Next, drop your organic matter, like compost or aged manure, right at the very bottom. Step 3, place the tuber so those little pink eyes are pointing straight up toward the sky. Finally, backfill the hole so the eyes are covered by just that 2 to 5 centimeters of soil and give it a good watering. One crucial warning, though. Make sure any chemical fertilizers or fresh manure never touch those delicate roots directly, because that will cause chemical burns. Nobody wants that. That brings us to Section 4, Seasonal Care and Maintenance. Once your peony is safely in the ground, that first year is going to require a little tough love. Our sources actually highly recommend pinching off first-year buds as soon as they're the size of a pea. I know, it really hurts to snap off a potential flower, but doing this forces the young plant to build a massive, robust root system instead of wasting all its energy on just one early bloom. You'll also want to put down a thick winter mulch that first year to keep the root from heaving out of the freezing and thawing ground. But here's the good news. Once they're established, they're super low maintenance. You just deadhead the spent blooms, and they don't even need winter mulch anymore. Oh, and we definitely have to clear this one up. Please don't panic if you see ants swarming all over your tight peony buds in the spring. You absolutely do not need to spray them. They are completely harmless. The plant actually secretes this natural, sugary sap, and the ants are just there enjoying the free buffet. They do absolutely zero damage to the plant. Let's move to Section 5, Battling Botrytis and Pests. Look, even if you do everything perfectly, cool, damp spring weather can bring some fungal challenges. If you walk outside and see these heartbreaking symptoms like buds turning brown and mushy, looking almost scorched black, or maybe some fuzzy gray mold growing on the stems, you're very likely dealing with a common fungal disease called botrytis blight, which is also known as gray mold. If you do run into trouble, here's a quick troubleshooting guide. For botrytis, your main solutions are improving airflow and garden sanitation. If you've got lots of healthy leaves but zero blooms, like we talked about earlier, you'll need to gently dig up the plant in the fall and lift it up to that proper 2 to 5 centimeter depth. And one really important note on feeding. Heavy in nitrogen fertilizers actually create rapid but very weak, tender growth, which makes the plant way more susceptible to fungal attacks. So definitely stick to a balanced fertilizer, like bone meal. If you live in a damp climate and you're fighting botrytis, your absolute best defense is strict garden hygiene. Every autumn, cut those herbaceous stems all the way down to the ground. And this is so crucial. Always throw the infected fall debris straight into the municipal trash. Do not compost it. The fungal spores will literally survive the winter in your compost pile and just reinfect your garden the next spring. Also, keep a spray bottle with a 10% bleach solution handy to sanitize your shears between cuts. And finally, always water right at the soil line early in the day. You never want to water over the leaves. Give the foliage plenty of time to dry out in the sun. I want to wrap up our explainer today with this powerful quote drawn right from our sources. It's a wonderful reminder that all this meticulous upfront work, digging the right hole, measuring that exact 2 to 5 centimeter depth, amending the soil, it really pays off. Not just for one season, but for an entire lifetime. Knowing they can thrive for generations, where in your garden will you plant a peony this fall for your grandchildren to enjoy? It's something pretty special to think about. Keep in mind that gardening is highly local, so always factor in your unique regional climate and soil conditions, and definitely don't hesitate to consult with local gardening experts if you hit a roadblock. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy planting.